Beautiful ones, before we dive into today's tutorial and I start waffling on about salmon sperm and PDRN and all of that nonsense, not nonsense, I watch the video afterwards. I must say a quick hello to a new friend I made today at work, Jackie. Hello Jackie, how are you doing, my love? Really, really lovely to meet you today, Jackie. Jackie has got the most beautiful jade green hair I have ever seen in my life. And she's a really, really lovely person as well too. So it was lovely meeting you today, Jackie, at Little Droitwood Spa. Right guys, so today's video is going to be a spotlight. I do that quite a lot actually, I don't know why, but a spotlight on PDRN, which is a buzzword at the minute in skincare, and it's in quite a few products. I noticed the other day that L'Oreal, one of their hyaluronic acid serums, is now got PDRN in it too. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining what PDRN actually is, where it comes from, a tiny bit about the history of PDRN, how I'm familiar with PDRN, and also, most importantly of all, what PDRN can actually do for your skin. So if that sounds like something you want to find out more about, stay tuned. Right, beautiful ones, let's start the science lesson, shall we? I'll try not to make it that boring for you. Just think of me as your favourite science teacher at school, if that's at all possible. So what does PDRN actually stand for? It stands for polydeoxyribonucleotide, and it is it is actually a building block of life. It's part of the DNA structure. DNA is actually made up of millions, upon billions, in fact, of tiny little things called nucleotides. And what they do is, I'm not too sure what they do, to be honest with you. Come on, guys, please. I mean, I've been at work all day. I did know what they do. I don't now, but... And these 4 or 5 nucleotides, there may even be 6, actually. I'll have to check my facts and pop the right amount down there, I think. What they do is they interact with each other and they form the helix of the DNA molecule. Way too in depth there for for what today's tutorial is all about, really. Just having a good nose at someone out of the window, as is my want. Skincare wise, guys, it all started in Italy in the 1980s, I believe it was, where they were testing PDRN, or what was then known as fragmented salmon sperm DNA. And that's where all of the PDRN in all of these Korean and some of the English products too comes from. Believe that or not, it is actually fragmented salmon sperm. And back in the 1980s, what they were doing is they were testing different organic compounds to see tissue regeneration for wound care. And someone thought about using PDRN or salmon sperm fragments. And they had some promising results from the tests that they did on people who were in hospital or whatever. Fast forward 20 or even 30 years, guys, and the Korean dermatologists picked up this theory that PDRN or salmon, must try and stop saying PDRN. It's not. There's not a big difference between PDRN and fragmented salmon sperm, but there is a distinct difference, if that makes sense. So what happened was the Korean dermatologists picked up on the fragmented salmon sperm, and what they did is they altered it very, very slightly to make them the lengths of the fragmented salmon sperms much, much smaller, which means that they could then get into the skin. And then once they were in the skin, they started to affect a very regenerative effect on the skin. So that's basically, not in a nutshell, quite a waffly old nutshell there, but a nutshell nonetheless, as to why the Koreans use PDRN and why you're probably seeing it everywhere now. Maybe getting a bit fed up of it like I was until I actually scratched the surface of PDRN and did a bit of a dive into it. I'm familiar with salmon sperm DNA because about 15-20 years ago, I was obsessed with trying to develop a sunless tanner that works without using any bronzing sugars or anything like that you could just put on your arm in the morning, and by the evening it turned into a real suntan without ever exposing your skin to the sun. I know these things exist, I know sunless tanners exist, but it's not a real suntan, it's a fake stain on the skin. So cutting a very long story short, what I then did was I went online and I got obsessed by searching patents, and I found a couple of patents online that just suggested that the application of fragmented or damaged salmon sperm on the skin could trigger an SOS response in the skin. So the skin would start to think it had been sunburnt, and then amplify the amount of melanin that it produced, and therefore, in theory, give you a suntan. So while I was buying all of these serums and that contain PDRN, which is based on, or which comes from salmon sperm, I started to think to myself, well, am I going to start turning brown or whatever? I won't, because it's a very, very subtle difference between salmon sperm and PDRN, or fragmented salmon sperm and PDRN. And I've already explained to you it's the length of the fragments. Basically, they're much, much smaller. They're actually engineered to be a specific size, as I've said already, so that they can penetrate pomegranate, so that they can penetrate into the skin and then affect and what they do is that they would never damage the skin or even pretend to damage the skin like the fragmented salmon sperm would. So what they're doing is they are alerting the skin to the fact that it has possibly been damaged at some point, but in a very, very, very gentle way, if that makes sense. Why wouldn't it make sense? You're not imbeciles, are you? The theory behind the fragments of DNA, the salmon DNA, the damaged DNA of the salmon sperm, I should say, which I thought would be able to give me a sunless tan. It's pretty solid, actually, if you think about it. It does trigger an SOS response in the skin, which then amplifies the levels of melanin in the skin. However, PDRN does exactly the opposite of that. What PDRN does is it actually inhibits something called tyrosinase, which is the enzyme responsible for sun tanning. So if you have melasma or sunspots or just want paler skin, PDRN is a good choice, I would say, because it's very, very, very gentle. In fact, it's got quite a calming sort of calming, neutralizing kind of gentle sort of organic away with the skin. Does that make sense, beautiful ones? Yeah. So, beautiful ones, what to look for when you're choosing your PDRN product? Well, some of the beauty companies, they like parts per million, or ppm, for some reason. I suppose it sounds technical or scientific, so why not? Two of the products I got yesterday, I went shopping in Home Bargains. Now, everything I got from there, all of the PDRN products, and in fact everything I'm going to be showing you today, costs less than £2.99 each. I got these two. I'll show you this one first. This one is the Eternité PDRN Bounce Ball Face Serum. And this contains, can you see that? So it's 100 parts per million of salmon sperm, or PDRN. Must stop saying salmon sperm. It's PDRN. And what these do, this is one with green tea PDRN in it. I'm not convinced by the fact green tea can even produce PDRN. I know salmon can. I'm not too sure about green tea, but we'll go with it for now, shall we? And so give it a good shake, guys, like maybe 5-10 seconds, just to get those globules all isolated. Don't worry too much if they all start settling or grouping back together, because what you put onto the back of your hand, which will ultimately go onto your face, there'll be enough PDRN in that small amount to affect your skin. So we'll talk about expectations in a minute, because this stuff, it's not a miracle. Do you know what I mean? Nothing can reverse deep wrinkles, but I've said it now, haven't I? So yeah, there's some on my fingers, and just pat this gently in. This is how the Korean people do it. Whereas in the UK, I don't know about America, but we just smear it on, do you know what I mean? But I think it may be because PDRN could be quite a fragile ingredient. So just proceed with caution, beautiful ones, is my advice there. So yeah, I used this last night just around my eyes and a little bit on my deeper lines on my forehead. And then I put some of this over the top, just some of that glazing milk stuff over the top, and I woke up this morning and just washed my face, and my skin looked amazing, really, really taut and shiny, a little bit like it does now. So there could be something in this PDRN business or malarkey, guys, couldn't there? Should we carry on, and shall I show you what else I got? So as I was saying, this one contains green tea, PDRN. And when you think about it, everything which has ever lived is made from DNA, isn't it? And DNA is made of nucleotides, and that's what a polyribonucleotide actually is. I wanted to say nucleic acid then, which is the proper expression for DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. It's a nucleotide, so it's the individual strand. Yeah, totally forgotten what I was talking about. My point there, beautiful ones, was the fact that because it's been alive, it's green tea, so it has been alive at some point. It is the fact that would have been made up of DNA. The big difference between DNA from green tea and salmon sperm, none at all, absolutely none at all. They're all made up of the same family of nucleotides, thymine, and those sort of guanidine, and all of that. I could put a list down here if you're if you're interested or not, or. Shall I stop that? Shall I stop that with the science immediately? Probably boring you all to death out there. However, if you just see something like green tea, PDRN, and you think that it looks gimmicky, it's not, because they're all the exact same building blocks of stuff which then can live. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so there's no difference between salmon sperm DNA and green tea DNA, other than the fact is how they mesh together. Then because obviously one of the DNAs is going to go and create a green tea plant, whereas the other one's going to go and create quite a shiny sort of fish. Do you know what I mean? And that's all down to how that the helix is formed and so on, and the different amount of nucleotides in it. I hope I'm not boring you. I really, really do. I'm sure I am. I imagine that Eternite chose green tea because of its potent antioxidant properties, and it was a buzzword about 20 years ago, wasn't it? Everything had green tea in it. Now everything's got PDRN in it. Things go around, don't they? So everything's cyclical. So yeah, let's move on to the salmon sperm one. I haven't actually tried this yet. It won't smell fishy at all because the molecules or the fragments of DNA are so small that it just evades the whole of the olfactory system, or the nose system, smell system, I should say, shouldn't I? But that's got a little pink ball in it as well. I don't know if you can you see that in there, that little pink slimy thing? And again, if you just give it a good shake, it fragments them up and then makes them into tiny little capsules, which then you press into the skin. I'm doing that again. You then apply onto your face however you want, really, guys. It doesn't matter. I know I said earlier that PDRN could be quite delicate. It's gone through quite an extensive chopping process, so it can't be that delicate, can it? The green tea one has a very, very faint perfume of green tea in it. It smells a little bit like Elizabeth Arden's green tea scent, which is beautiful, by the way. Reminds me of Eau de Lancôme, if anyone's ever tried that before. Gorgeous scent, but it's very, very, very weak. So I'm a bit worried about the salmon one now, because that one smells of green tea. Is the salmon one going to smell of salmon? I doubt it, though. So this is the salmon one. Again, these were $2.99 each from Home Bargains. How they can make these for such a small amount is beyond me. I mean, come on, do you know what I mean? So that's the pink one. That's the salmon sperm fragments of tapered or fragmented PDRN. Shall I stop it with all of that? Can you see how confusing it is? It confuses me, and I used to be a formulator, blah, blah, blah. But can you see that those little balls are now moving around in there? And just give it a good shake just to get those all moving about and globulizing, if there's such a thing as globulizing. Well, there is now, isn't there, gorgeous ones? Should we put some of this on together, guys? And I'll give you my very first impressions of the pink. This is a salmon DNA PDRN serum by Eternite, and it's also got peptides in it, I think, and it's called Glowy Serum. Shake me to awaken glowy skin, and it says for skin that bounces back. And my skin was certainly bouncing back this morning, guys. What I might do is just release this video and give you my first impressions along with the spotlight on PDRN. And I'll use these all for a week, possibly even 2 weeks. Although, yeah, I might be bored with it by then. But I'll certainly use it for a week. And then I'll release a video in about a week to 8-10 days time, telling you whether my skin's transformed and whether I look like a newborn babe or not. I think that's probably enough shaking now, guys. So just take the lid off. And as you can see, there's a little stopper in there. Just get your thumb under that and peel it off. Can't smell anything. In fact, it probably smells identical to the other one, which is quite nice because, as I said, it reminds me of Elizabeth Arden's green tea. No, this one hasn't got any scent to it at all, I don't think. So remember to pat it in, guys. Oh, I did get a quick whiff then of something really nice. Quite hard to describe, actually, guys, but I'm going to be focusing on the areas of concern. So they're areas around my eyes, deeper lines on my forehead, and anywhere else really that I think needs addressing or some urgent attention. Rather than putting the lid back on it and shaking it all the time, what you could do is, if you've got a clean fingertip, is pop that over the aperture or the hole, give that a quick shake, making sure the whole lot doesn't fly everywhere. It probably will with me, won't it, guys? You all know how clumsy I can be. And then, because I've just done that area and that feels incredible, a little bit oily actually, although not too oily. And then just put some on the back of the hand. And the thing with these Korean stuff is that they haven't got loads of pumps and do you know what I mean? That they're all very straight out of the bottle. They're very much into their essences and very much into microbiomes and all of that, whereas us in the UK or America or in the West, we prefer chemicals, don't we? We do prefer chemicals. So I think that it's good that we are turning towards a far more gentle, but yet as effective method, I suppose, as good as word as any, isn't it? That reminds me of an Avon, something I used about 30, possibly even, no, I can't say 40, because I would have been 13 years old and I didn't start looking after my skin until I was in my 20s. Possibly around 25, 30 years ago, I was using this Avon stuff, and that's what that smells like, very, very watered down version of that. I think it was a glycolic something or other. It was just the scent of it though. Do you know what I mean, guys? But yeah, so that's the salmon PDRN on that side. That's the green tea PDRN on that side. I'm favouring the green tea one at the minute, although, as I've said, they're identical ingredients. It's just gimmicky. It's just a gimmick that they're saying that one's green tea, the other one's salmon. Some companies don't even say where the PDRN comes from. That doesn't matter though, guys. The most important thing that does matter about when using PDRN is the concentration or the concentration de PDRN or PDRN. Shall I stop it? Should stop that right now, shall I? Okay, stop it. Oh, you're back, beautiful ones. That didn't take long, did it? So you can see the... Can you see that, guys? Look. It doesn't feel oily anymore. It's all absorbed into my skin. And I imagine what they've done is they've suspended the PDRN in some kind of oil or some triglyceride or something like that. And then what they've done is they've dropped all of that into some kind of aqueous solution. You know what it's like when you spill oil or you're washing up and you've got an oily plate and you get those globules of fat, don't you, in the water. That's exactly what's happening here. So it'll be an oil in water serum, not an oil in water emulsion, but just a serum. I've got about 20 minutes left before the battery runs out, so I better hurry up and show you the last two products. Now then, guys, these two, the PDRN from Salmon and the green tea one, they both contain 100 parts per million. And as I said before, that sounds really, really impressive, doesn't it? Sounds like quite a lot, doesn't it? 100 parts per million. It's not. It's something like 0.01% salmon PDRN or green tea PDRN. Now, the ideal amount is 0.3 to 1% of PDRN. Which then brings me nicely on to my next two products. Again, £2.99 each. This one is the PDRN capsule cream. And this, I'll talk about my pros and cons of that in a minute. And this one I haven't even opened yet is the PDRN Peptide Serum. Again, £2.99. And this is 30 mils. The cream is 50 mils. The cream is a capsule cream. So you can see it contains these balls. And the balls contain collagen. Huge issue with collagen is the fact the molecules in collagen are way too big to be absorbed by the skin, so they don't do anything other than just sit around on the surface of the skin and may possibly moisturize the skin, but they certainly won't get down into the skin and reignite the collagen like something like peptides will or retinol does. So that for me that almost put me off. I almost didn't buy this because I thought, well, what a gimmick, eh? Taking collagen internally can help, I suppose, but putting it on your skin topically just won't do a thing for your skin, other than hydrate it slightly, I suppose. As I was about to say, I nearly didn't buy this because of the collagen balls in it. What I did buy it for is the fact it does contain, can you see that? It says 1% PDRN, and that's something like, I think that's 10,000 times stronger than... No, it's not. Sorry. Just go and do my maths. We'll be back in a sec. That's right, guys. I figured it out now. So 100 parts per million is, as I've said, is 0.01%. So a really, really low, almost negligible amount of PDRN. It probably wouldn't do anything. In fact, it won't do anything to the skin anyway. Whereas 1% PDRN is equivalent to 10,000 parts per million. And that will have an effect on the skin. Not a massive effect, but it certainly will. It will make the skin look healthier, may start to make it look glowing, and may plump some of those finer lines around the eyes. It won't do anything to these deep lines on my forehead or my 11 lines either. Nothing will get rid of those other than fillers or injectable hyaluronic acid, so on. Retinol may do something, but I'd need a really high bloody strength retinol to do something about these. The state of my forehead, guys? What PDRN will do to your skin is it will help to lighten up dark spots. It will help to calm skin too. So if your skin's very reactive, it will help to strengthen skin so that it doesn't react quite so badly. I've just remembered poor David got sunburnt last weekend, bless him. Poor bright red forehead, peeling, weeping skin, bless his heart. I don't think he would be able to tolerate any of these products because David's skin is incredibly sensitive. He can't use anything with perfume in it at all. And so all 4 of these, I believe, are perfumed. I haven't tried the serum or the cream yet. No, we have tried the cream, haven't we? No, we haven't. What am I talking about? Let's put some of the cream on, shall we, guys? Trying to avoid the balls of collagen. No, I'm not going to try to avoid them because they'll hydrate my skin, if anything. Do you know what I mean? Now, let me just take the lid off that. It's quite a runny sort of gel, but can you see those balls in there? They're quite a lot of them. I'd say it's probably about 50 balls of collagen in there. And all you do is, and on the lid, there's some of the gel which the balls are suspended in. Just resting that very precariously on my knee. But it would be the gel I'd be interested in. So there's quite a bit of gel on that. Get a bit more gel on that finger. Can you see that? And that's going to contain the 1% PDRN. So let's just see how... Can you hear Otis out the back? He's a lovely dog. He's our neighbour's dog. Sometimes he wakes us up at like 5 a.m. in the morning with a nice bark or 2 or 5. Do you know what I mean? But they're nice people. So what more can you expect? Hey, what more can you ask for? My skin is going to look like a salmon by the time I finished it today because I've got 2 layers of different salmon spermy sort of things on my skin. But it's incredible, isn't it, to think that something as basic or as fundamental as DNA could affect quite not a remarkable, but quite a nice change in the skin. I mean, as I said this morning when I got up, I washed my face and my skin. It did look firmer, shinier, more glowing. And it's not a modern thing, though, to be putting DNA into skincare. Did you know that Estee Lauder's Advanced Night Repair, which has been around since the early 1980s, I think 1982, sometime like that, was when the patent was initially filed for the recipe or the ingredients, the combination of ingredients which became Advanced Night Repair. The initial patent actually had sodium RNA. RNA is slightly different than DNA because RNA it stands for riboxynucleic acid, whereas DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, although they're not that different, you know what I mean? And for our purposes today, you don't have to, we won't go into that much detail, but Estee Lauder have known that putting DNA or those nucleotides into a skincare formulation could again, those fingers, my rabbit fingers, could affect some change. But the only issue with the sodium RNA in Advanced Night Repair is the fact that they're too big. So had Estee Lauder gone a little bit further with their research and realised that if they'd made them much, much smaller, then they could have been onto something really, really big. In fact, they may very well do that before we know where we are. A&R will probably have PDRN or something in it anyway. So that's the cream. No scent to it, actually, guys. No. Yeah, absolutely no scent. Should we try one of those balls on my face? I don't see how that This is one of the balls, guys. Can you see that? It's sliding down my fingers. Are you supposed to break them or what? I don't really know. Oh, they do break up quite readily. And as I said, there's about 50 of them in the formulation. I suppose it's just potluck, really, whether you get one on one day or one on the other. But as I've said already, and many, many times, topical collagen will do absolutely nothing for the skin. So it's pointless even being in there. It's just taking up space. Do you know what I mean? But I do like the feel of this. It's a light hydrating gel, guys. 1% PDRN, so we're ticking boxes here. We've got the right concentrations. Remember I said 0.3% to 1% PDRN. This is at the highest end of highest concentration of PDRN you can currently buy. I don't think it's regulated, something like salicylic acid. Sorry, I'm just flicking collagen balls everywhere at the minute. Oh, matron. Yeah, no, I don't think it's regulated or dictated how much PDRN can be used in a formulation. I assume that you could probably one day they'll release a 50% or something like that, which may do something to deep lines on the forehead. But at the minute, it's suggested 0.3 to 1% PDRN. Anything less than that just won't work possibly on the skin. So now, beautiful ones, I've got a huge dilemma. One of my collagen balls is actually on the floor and I've trodden in it as well, and it's all smeared over my wood flooring. But should I let it dry and then try and flake it off or scrape it off with my fingernail, or should I go and get a damp cloth? And I think a damp cloth right now would work, wouldn't it? I better go and do that back in 2 ticks. So beautiful ones. Let's have a quick look at the skin just to see how that looks. Can you see it's starting to glow a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, and you can see the reflection, and my skin is pretty shining and glowing with health, isn't it? At the minute, I've got green tea PDRN on that side, salmon PDRN on that side from the biphasic little glass bottles, the bubble PDRN stuff. And over that, I applied some of the Miracle PDRN capsule cream, didn't I? And I'm not going to try the serum today, although I will. Shall I show it to you? Why not? Why not? What's the point in me talking about it if I'm not going to show? I'll just get it open, guys. Minding fingers, of course. So just bear with me. I have to speed this bit up, I think. No, there we are. It's coming. But I mean, £2.99, guys. And that was the very, very most I paid for anything I got today. Really, really, really good quality stuff as well. I don't know how these companies can make this for so cheap. Do you know what I mean? It's incredible, isn't it? So yeah, that's the what's going on here. There we are. Let's get it out. Again, a nice little bottle, quite pretty on the bathroom shelf. That does go very nicely with the capsule. It's the same company as the capsule, collagen capsule stuff, PDRN, whatever. This looks like quite a dense sort of serum. This is going to be more up my street than the cream, or the gel cream, I should say. You can see how viscous that is because it's just not dripping off straight away, is it? But it does look lovely, doesn't it? And there's 1% PDRN in there. So again, we're ticking boxes here. Might have to go back to Home Bargains and buy another 1,000 of those tomorrow or something like that. I'm just going to put some of this around my eyes. So what I don't like to do is to apply skincare dropped onto my skin. So what I would like to do is just to get rid of the wrapper first. To drop some on the back of the hand. Do you know what I mean, guys? Do you guys ever do that? Do you know what I mean? When you see people dropping stuff directly onto the skin, because there's a very slight risk you could get the pipette end on your skin and then pop it back into the bottle, and that way you're reintroducing loads of bacteria into the bottle. So that's it there on that finger. Yeah, you can see that, guy. Gonna pat this in again. I've got to stop trying to look out the window, haven't I? Absolutely no smell to the serum. So if you're intolerant to scents like David is, I just don't like scents. That's the only reason I prefer non-fragrant stuff. It's not that I can't use it. I just don't like scents, whereas David, bless him, he just cannot use anything that's scented. It brings him up in hives, and he really does react quite strongly to anything with a horrible scent in it or a nice scent in it. He just cannot use anything scented on his skin, bless him. Whereas I just prefer not to use scented stuff. Do you know what I mean? Should we talk about the beard quickly? It's giving me age, and it's making me look a bit mature, would you say, guys? Or old? So guys, the plan for the next week will be I'll use the serum because that's 1% PDRN, and the cream as well because that's 1% PDRN too. I think that the little glass bottles of the bounce ball or whatever they're called is very gimmicky, and there's not enough. I mean, 0.01% isn't enough to make a blind bit of difference to anyone's skin. There is some research online that says that PDRN can regenerate skin and give it a healthier, not younger look, but it's certainly a healthier, smoother look, almost as if it has been regenerated. As I've said, it won't do anything about deep lines, so on and so forth. But so for the next week, I'll be using the repair, what's it called? Peptide serum. Yeah. And I'll also be using the capsule cream. So, and I'll record a video, today's Wednesday, I'll record a video either next Wednesday, or I might have to give it a little bit longer, next Friday, and release that video next Saturday. How does that sound, guys? I've also got these to review, which are the Road Glazing Milk and the Road Glazing Serum, which cost something like £1,000. Oh, I'm kidding. They're not. They're so not. They're dupes. Can you see the name Peptase? That's a glazing serum. And I've also got a Peptase. What's that one called? Daily Restore lotion. I assume that's a lotion or a cream or something. Now, I must admit, I did, when I applied that one to my face last night, I just couldn't leave this stuff alone because I've been hearing about the Road one, and I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Glass skin like effect, it doesn't. It just doesn't make your skin look like it's glass at all. It makes your skin look nice and smooth though, and hydrated. So what I did is I put a couple of pumps of this over the top of the green tea PDRN serum last night, the bounce ball serum. And it may have actually been that which was making my skin look glowing and shiny this morning, or it may have been the PDRN. It may have been them both interacting with each other. Point is I will definitely review these at some point. So, should we have a quick recap on what PDRN is? PDRN is fragmented but very, very, very small fragments of salmon sperm DNA, which isn't quite the same thing that I researched 20 years ago to give me a suntan. It won't give you a suntan, guys. What it will do is it will help to calm the skin. It will help to lighten dark spots. It will help to give the skin a very slightly regenerated glow to the skin, make your skin look smoother. It may help battle fine lines. It won't do anything about the deeper lines on the forehead. At a concentration of 0.3 to 1%, remember that's what to look for. And I actually think Korea could be onto something if my skin does start to look better and better and better, which it may do, or then it may not. Do you know what I mean? It may all be very gimmicky. We need to try these things, guys, don't we? So we've also learned that topical collagen does absolutely nothing for the skin. It's the same as trying to shove a breeze block through a letterbox. It just can't fit through the skin's layers. It can't. So it just sits there on the top of the skin. Nice moisturizer, no anti-aging effect whatsoever. And we were stunned by the price of these, weren't we? This is the PDRN peptide serum, $2.99 for all of these each. Is just phenomenal price, isn't it? So please don't go out there and spend £100 or even £20 on a PDRN serum. Get yourself down to Home Bargains if you're in the UK. I don't know if there is a website for this company. And I don't know if there's one for Eternity. I think there possibly is. I'll link everything into the description or pop them down here. But please don't go out there and spend hundreds or even tens of pounds on this stuff, because it's basically salmon sperm at the end of the day. That's all it is. And I've put loads of salmon sperm on my face. And that's all we've got time for today. That's all I've got battery for today. I've got all the time in the world to sit and speak to you beautiful ones, but there's 5 minutes left on the battery, so I really ought to try and wind things up now, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Similarly, consider subscribing. Although the House of Joseph is not a sponsored channel at all, I never get paid for any of the videos. I'm approached by quite a few companies on a weekly basis to sponsor me, and I refuse all of them. I do. It goes against all of my principles. Although the House of Joseph is an unsponsored channel, I still like to see the subscribers numbers growing, and it just gives me a lovely warm fuzzy feeling inside. So if you could hit the subscribe button too, and hit the notifications button to all, so that you're notified each time I release new videos, which is around about one a week is what I try to aim at. Sometimes 3 a week, sometimes none a week. But I will always get back, and you know, because I work full time as well as well as filming for you beautiful ones. If you have any questions or any experiences with PDRN, then do put them in the comments and I will try and answer any of your questions. Or you can go online, and there's loads of information about what it is and products which contain it. Please just don't spend loads of money on it. Remember, I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you all on Friday or Saturday morning.